ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Friday, July 18th. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Our text line this hour brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255. It's a busy night in the Mountain State. We've got the TBT coming up. Best Virginia in action. Heard that in action. All coming to you from Charleston. Those games are going to be broadcast on YouTube TV. So if you haven't had a chance to get ready for the TBT just yet, you still got plenty of time. And again, those games are going to be streaming over on YouTube. I tell you what, I don't know if I have felt the buzz for the TBT just yet. Now, are we at that point where a few years ago it was very exciting and it was a great time? Are we at that point now where the novelty is starting to wear off? I'm kind of curious about that. So that'll be something you can talk about this hour with the text line, and get those texts in early. And we're going to go all throughout the show, straight text line for the most part. And again, that number one more time if you just joined us, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. So John Elmore, Tavion Kinsey, they've got business to attend to as the Sacramento Kings are going to play on Saturday in the NBA Summer League semifinals against the Toronto Raptors. And unfortunately, Dallas is in action right now, NBA Summer League. And there's no Obina Anachili-Killen today. He was left out, coach's decision. So he's not playing today. But it's been very productive so far for those three in the Summer League. Hopefully this means I don't expect Tavion or Obina to right away make an NBA roster right out of the Summer League here this year. Just, I don't expect them to be elevated to the main roster. They're always going to be, right there, maybe at that point where, there might be a chance for them to be a mainstay on the roster. But right now the Summer League, of course, it's been good to them. And it was good to see John Elmore actually get in the Summer League. He's definitely been a fixture of the G League, and, of course, he's been a fixture of the TBT. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Hopefully Heard That will win tonight, and we can get them into the next round. And hopefully that the Sacramento Kings, I'd like to see that. I would hope for a Sacramento Kings run in the Summer League. I'd like to get them to the championship just because I want to see Elmore. I want to see Tavion. I want to see those guys play as long as they can in the NBA. That's a good decision for them to really, first and foremost, go with the Summer League, and then when available, get to Charleston for TBT action. But that's coming up tonight from Charleston, and let's just hope that both Best Virginia and Heard That advance, or this thing is going to go flat real quick in Charleston. It's expected to be an economic driver, and obviously you bring in a lot of teams, and you hope that there will be crowds throughout the tournament in Charleston, and there's an opportunity for the representative, the host, so Best Virginia or Heard That, if it would win the Charleston Regional, there's an opportunity for it to host because there's no set place this year. You have that opportunity because it will generate more revenue. Obviously, you're going to have a team that people will come to see, and that's kind of the thing here right now. It's sort of NIT-ish in a way, and of course, it's been fun to watch the TBT over the last few years. I just don't know if I've really gotten the buzz from a lot of people just yet, or maybe we're just sitting back and waiting to see if we get that Heard That versus Best Virginia matchup again. Are you planning on going to, if it is that matchup, are you planning on going to see that? Or are you just going to sit back and watch it? And if one advances, and probably if it's Heard That, you'll go up for maybe the championship game. Just kick back right now and just wait to see what happens. That's kind of the feeling I'm getting from this. But that's coming up tonight. The Best Virginia game is at 8. Heard That is going to be at 6. Coldcats are in action tonight. Still taking on the Greenville Flyboys. That's coming up tonight at 7 o'clock. Coldcats right now are 13-21, 5th in the East. The Flyboys are 19-15, second in the West. Now, last night the Coldcats lost. This was a continuation of a game that had to be postponed on June 14th or at least halted. So the Cats lost 15-7. And then rain got them for the regularly scheduled game. So that game was canceled. So back at it tonight. Hopefully the weather holds. 7 o'clock. You can video stream that over on the Colecats website on the Appalachian League page. And again, it's Colecats in Greenville, 7 o'clock tonight. And then we've got the final homestand coming up starting Tuesday. That'll be the final homestand for the Colecats, and we'll have all those games right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. So baseball is back tonight. Major League gets underway second half of the season. Pirates taking on the White Sox. We're going to have that game. 6:15 is going to be our airtime right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. The Reds are going to be at the Mets 7:10 tonight, and then the Guardians will play host to the A's also at 7:10. So baseball is back. Football is almost upon us, and we're starting to see some more deals finalized. Baltimore Ravens and former Marshall edge rusher Mike Green finally agreeing to terms on a rookie contract just days before training camp opens for the team. Green yesterday signed a 4-year deal that could be worth up to $7.5 million fully guaranteed. Green, of course, dropped. Should have been picked sooner. He was the 59th overall pick for the Baltimore Ravens. And, of course, he led the NCAA in sacks at 17, tackles for loss at 22.5 in a season where Marshall won the Sun Belt Conference. So Ravens start training camp soon. And you know what? We could have been talking about the Ravens picking up someone else. Maybe Shamar Stewart. Maybe the Ravens could have picked up Shamar Stewart, and the Bengals could have done something really smart and picked up, I think, the player they should have grabbed. It's Mike Green. The Bengals should have took Mike Green in the draft, but apparently, they wanted to pass on him a little bit. His stock dropped a little bit because of some previous allegations that came up. Of course, Green was very transparent throughout the process. He didn't hide from it. He didn't try to cover it up. He was open and honest about everything that had transpired before he came to Marshall, and of course, just personal interactions with him. He was always a straight up, easy, pleasant person to deal with. Never had a problem with him. But again, my interactions were limited to media opportunities, and of course, being around him when I was at Marshall, I never had a problem with him. And NFL, of course, spending a lot of money, but the Ravens seem to not have a problem with him, and I think he's going to be a terror for years. If I'm Joe Burrow, I get sacked by this guy a few times, I'm going to be mad. Of course, the Bengals still trying to figure out what to do as Stewart is not signed just yet. Speaking of getting things done, the Pittsburgh Steelers and T.J. Watt have agreed to a 3-year extension. He's going to be the, again, highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. He's 31 in October, agreeing to a 3-year, $123 million extension with the Steelers. Get this, $108 million of that contract is going to be guaranteed. So he's making a killing, and the Pittsburgh Steelers making him the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. I just wish that the Cincinnati Bengals could get contracts done and not have drama about it the way that we always see when it comes to these contract negotiations. It's so close. The Cincinnati Bengals are so close, and now is the time with the pieces in place. You don't have a once-in-a-lifetime quarterback come along very often. That's why they're once-in-a-lifetime quarterbacks, and Joe Burrow is that quarterback, and it's being wasted right now, absolutely being wasted by the Cincinnati Bengals. Speaking of Joe Burrow, I haven't got a chance to actually get into it yet. I started it the other day. I was somewhere where I had to wait for a while, and it was a planned place. So I had my tablet with me, and I started watching a little bit of season 2 of Quarterback. And I was interested because Joe Burrow is in it, and I haven't had a chance to really get back into it, and I hope to, the next few days, at least before the season starts. And it was really fascinating to watch a little bit of the behind the scenes of Joe Burrow. It wasn't your typical, NFL type documentary, Hard Knocks. It wasn't anything like that so far, but I'm curious to see how that played out. Of course, we know a lot of the story from the previous year, so some of that's not new to us as fans of Joe Burrow or the Bengals, but still, I got maybe like 10 minutes in before I was interrupted, and I hadn't had a chance to get back to it since. But that's been a fun watch so far. Of the 10 minutes I got to watch, I was hooked and ready to get into some more. So if you watch that, is it worth getting into a little bit more? Is it worth following for the rest of the series, or does it go downhill? And again, you know how these Netflix shows go. They go really strong early and then just sometimes fall apart. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. If I should watch Quarterback, let me know on Netflix. We're going to talk more with you. It's an open show tonight. Text line is open. That means you get to help decide what we get into, and we'll do that when we continue together here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Sip into summer with $3 margaritas at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Fresh lime margaritas at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe. Handcrafted to bring the taste of summer straight to your table. Upgrade to mango, blackberry, spicy, or dessert pair for just $1 more. You can enjoy a round or two without breaking the bank. Pair it with the cafe's Baja Chicken Street Tacos and make every moment a fiesta at the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe today on the corner of Fun and 3rd Avenue, downtown Huntington. The soundtrack to your summer is back. Mount West 9th Street Live, downtown Huntington's favorite Friday night tradition. Presented by Michelob Ultra and White Claw. This Friday, July 18th, it's Emeritus College Night featuring Jeremy Short and special guest Corey Zorns on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks in the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Join us for a special evening July 25th with Souls of the Wounded in support of the historic Keith Albee Performing Arts Center. Purchase a ticket to tour this iconic venue, see the restoration in progress, and enjoy a beverage while experiencing the magic of this legendary theater. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August the 15th. 9th Street Live, driven by University Ford and built by Cardinal Roofing. Every Friday night through Labor Day on 9th Street in Huntington, between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kindred Communications. 9th Street Live, be there.
Our Kindred Communications family of stations reminds you of the need for blood donations to the Red Cross. Blood is always needed. It may save your life or the life of a loved one. This reminder is brought to you in part by
Robert's Lawn and Landscaping, residential or commercial, serving the tri-state. Phone 304-633-5822. Ray's Mexican Cantina, 234 3rd Avenue in Gallipolis, Ohio. Phone 740-441-5871. And Altizer Farm Supplies. See the Central Boiler Outdoor Wood Furnace at 585 Center Point Road, Thurman, Ohio. Phone 740-245-5196.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PUSH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-444-2013 or biglou.com.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change, called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talk Line, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Our text line is open this hour, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I asked you earlier, are you excited about the TBT? Heard that potentially with a matchup against Best Virginia once again. And, of course, that's what the organizers are hoping for. What do you think? Is there a buzz going on for the TBT? Wait and see attitude. Where are you at right now? Texter just wrote in and said, Paul, I am not able to make it tonight. If Herd that wins, I will definitely go to the game on Sunday. And go Herd. Appreciate the text. So, all right, early on, maybe some interest here for the TBT, obviously. It might have run its course. A lot of these games are on YouTube, and that doesn't scream to me, okay, this is a big deal after all. Some of those games obviously could be featured elsewhere, but the games right now, at least coming out of Charleston, are going to be on YouTube. I think if Heard That in West Virginia meet up, that's going to be a featured game. That's not going to be just a YouTube broadcast. But as far as this tournament's concerned, I mean, the one thing that it has done is brought a lot of notoriety to the Elam ending, and I would not mind the Elam ending in college basketball. You're not going to get that, but I would not mind the Elam ending because we get to a point where the games just drag on. And the argument is going to be, there are probably two arguments here, main arguments. One argument is that, what do you mean it drags on? It's great. We got basketball here. You're wanting to shorten the game. The other argument for me is, but some of that is just garbage time. And some of it, okay, we're going to foul, we're going to send that person to the line, and then we're going to go try to score, and then they're going to get the ball back, and we're going to foul, and we're going to do that again if there's a deficit here. I would rather see the Elam ending because we've got a target score. You know what you need to score to win. You know what the other team needs to score to win. And if you can play some sound defense instead of doing the fouling and sending them to the free throw line, because you don't want to do that, not with the Elam ending. You want to end on a basket from the field. Now, some of these games have ended from the free throw line. That's just basketball. But at the end of the day, I think the Elam ending is still great. And with the TBT, there's going to be some good quality basketball play. There'll be some high-level basketball. I don't know where I would put it in relation to NBA Summer League. It definitely has been good quality basketball, but has it run its course? Is the novelty no longer there for the TBT? Or you got nothing else going on, right? We're in the middle of July. We've got baseball starting back up. We're not quite there yet with the NFL. We've got the NBA Summer League, but that's going to wrap up soon. So what do we have right now that's really going on sports-wise? Baseball, and for a lot of people, that's take it or leave it. And really, there are two camps in that. One, baseball's a religion, or baseball is something to do now and then when you go to the ballpark. One or the other. Religion, or, it's a fun activity. But that's my curiosity right now. Where are we at with this TBT? Excited? Not so excited? Wait and see attitude? 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter says, Paul, I don't know if I'm even interested until the team plays West Virginia again. Appreciate that. That seems to be the prevailing thought right now is, okay, it's back, you're kind of excited for it, but really you're hoping that it's going to be Heard That versus West Virginia. And then if that becomes a trend for Heard That and it can beat West Virginia again. And the one thing that's interesting for me with this is you have Jared West on West Virginia. Now, his father is the connection there, so he's playing for his father. And that's the connection there. And that's the one thing about this TBT is you have a team that's Heard That, but there's not exactly a top-to-bottom roster of Marshall players. There's always going to be a mix of other players that have come into this. So the whole notion that this is the Marshall alumni team versus the West Virginia alumni team is just a little diluted. It's not as if Marshall is playing West Virginia. You got some Marshall guys playing. You've got some West Virginia guys playing. It's not top to bottom, straight up all Marshall versus all West Virginia. And they're wearing the flag. And I get it. And with college basketball, with the transfer portal, a guy that's on one team today is going to be over here next year. I completely get it. This is sort of like the transfer portal semi-pro, right? Okay, this is Marshall, but it's not. It's Heard That. And there are Marshall guys on it, and then you go into the transfer portal and you pull out some guys that can make your team better. And technically, they didn't go to Marshall, but this is Heard That. But technically, Heard That isn't the Marshall team. Technically, yeah, it's the Marshall alumni team. But technically, not everybody's an alum of the Thundering Herd. Not everybody in West Virginia is an alum of the Mountaineers. So what do we do here? And of course, the answer is we just hope that the team in green and white beat the team in blue and gold, and you can call it a victory for Heard That. So all responses on the text line should be Go Heard That. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 as we get you ready for your weekend on this Friday edition. More coming up, including your text on this Open Text Friday here on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Taco Fest 3 Summer Circus is presented by Walking Billboard and Margaritas, Saturday, July 19th at Harris Riverfront Park in downtown Huntington. Enjoy more than 20 food vendors and area restaurants and their unique takes on tacos, nachos, burritos, and quesadillas. Plus, a plethora of flavored margaritas, Mexican beers, and more. Taco eating contests for kids and adults, free carnival rides, and the Cincinnati Circus and more. Prizes include a free 5-day, 4-night carnival cruise for 2, free food, an 80-inch TV, and more. All at Harris Riverfront Park, Saturday, July 19th from 12 to 8. Rides start at 11. Sponsors include Sean Hornbuckle, Edward Jones, Rocco's, Texas Roadhouse, Western Regional Casa, Legends Barbershop, Sod's Wine and Spirits, Burke and Herbert Bank, and Margarita's Restaurant. Taco Fest 3 Summer Circus. Kids 12 and under get in free and ride the rides free. Saturday, July 19th at Harris Riverfront Park, downtown Huntington. Get more info on Facebook or at Taco Fest WV on Instagram.
Now at Menards, save big money on everything for your next project. With the largest selection of concrete and mortar in stock, we have the right mix, specially formulated for your project. View our entire selection of concrete and mortar mixes online or in-store and save big money. Plus, check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for more great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
The Tri-State is quickly learning that the bow tie means a better buy. And I've got July 4th deals all month long. Number one selling F-150, now up to $10 grand off, 0.9% financing, or just $499 a month. Explorers up to $5,500 off. Mustangs up to $7,500 off. Plus, get up to 125% of KBB for your trade. New ownership, improved processes, better deals. Better deals. Visit University Ford in Huntington or at universityfordwv.com. See dealer for complete details.
Attention, have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-672-6688. That's 800-672-6688. Again, 800-672-6688.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, consumers, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the relief hotline at 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257. 800-505-9257.
I'm Sally, a volunteer at United Way. I'm asking people around the neighborhood what they think this place needs. Excuse me, hi. What do you think this place needs?
I'd like to see more parking.
More playgrounds.
Free movies.
That's easy. Better restaurants.
And you, what do you think this place needs?
This place? More ice cream trucks.
Okay. How about you?
Wi-Fi everywhere?
I was thinking more money in the pockets of local families come tax time.
Can I change my answer?
I was just kidding about the ice cream.
Oh, that's way better.
Now that you mention it.
When it comes to getting better tax refunds into the hands of local families, what this place needs is you. To donate or volunteer, go to unitedway.org, because great things happen when we live united. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Welcome back. It's our Friday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. It's an open text line Friday at 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. We talked about it yesterday, but it's official today. Aaron Blair has been named pitching coach at Marshall University. Hopefully we can talk to Aaron next week or a week after. But that was something that was reported a couple of days ago, and now Marshall has made it official. Yeah, that's a good move. Blair comes back. He has that experience. He's been in the major leagues. So here's an opportunity to kind of use some of that to your advantage, especially with recruiting. Does NIL mean as much in the baseball world than it does for football or for basketball? I would think if you've got good facilities, honestly, I think you've got an equal shot. You might have to have a little NIL to help move a few guys along, but if you've got quality facilities, and that was a must, that was the starting point for Marshall baseball, not the end destination. Good facilities, you have coaches that have experience at the next level that can elevate your game. You can see some progress. Marshall finishing fourth in the Sun Belt, that's an improvement opportunity for Marshall to, honestly, if Marshall can keep progressing here, why not Marshall in baseball? That question too, why not Marshall in basketball? Why not Marshall in baseball? I mean, that's a sport that Sun Belt's been very good, and that's one thing at least I'll give the addition of Louisiana Tech a thumbs up on. That's going to help baseball. That definitely will be let's put it to you this way. The way Marshall was good for soccer and the Sun Belt, elevating this league, actually getting it going again, I think Louisiana Tech might not have that type of elevation, but you're not going to lose any ground, and it's going to just help strengthen. Just another quality program. Baseball is definitely going to be a plus for Louisiana Tech. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line. Texter wants to know, who do I think is going to win between Herd That and West Virginia? First of all, we got to get to that game. I appreciate the text. Depending on who's going to be playing, I'm going to say I feel like Herd That might have it. I feel like Herd That might have another run. Don't get me wrong, West Virginia's really good, but I've got a feeling that Herd That might be poised to make another run. We'll see, though. You got to get past the first round, and of course that's coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. So I'm not going to say best Virginia. Going to put me on the spot. I'm going to take her that. Come on now. I know my audience. That was that text was a trap. I'm not falling for that. 304-396-TALK. 304-396-8255. Our text line to be a part of the program, brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. But yeah, I would like to see a point in time where we can get an Obina and a Chili Killen in the TBT. That would excite me a little bit more. I know right now he's with Dallas in the summer league, and that's important. Tavion and Elmore are with the Kings in the summer league, and that's more important for me as far as watching those young men advance their careers, and hopefully, we can see Tavion move himself further along. And John, I don't know if John's going to be a mainstay ever on an NBA roster, but he's definitely a guy you can depend on, and he's going to make a run of it at whatever level he's going to be at, and that includes the G League. That's going to be the summer league here, and of course the TBT. He's going to play basketball until he can't play basketball anymore, as long as he's playing at a high level, and I don't see why he couldn't for several more years. I mean, he's 30 now? Definitely going to be a mainstay, at least with the NBA, be it the G League, Summer League, and of course, the TBT. And with Kinsey, you hope that he gets to a point where he's a mainstay on the main roster. And I have high hopes for Obina. I'm not going to be delusional here. It can go any way. It's not that easy to make the main roster and be a mainstay on an NBA team. It's difficult. They don't just hand those spots out. And there's a lot of money on the line here. It's harder probably in some ways to get onto an NBA roster than maybe an NFL roster. There are more opportunities on an NFL roster, but for the NBA, there are limited roster opportunities. That's why you have the G League. And of course, if you're going to come out from college, you better be sure that you're a first rounder or you're going to be drafted, and that's going to be the trick. And now with NIL, a lot of guys can actually stay back and finish out college careers unless they're a first round lottery type pick. You can at least finish out your career, make money, and then you can give it a go at the NBA level. So that's what I anticipate here. Of all three of these guys, I think that Obina probably has a lot of upside. I think Tavion is right there, has an opportunity, and I'm hoping that he can keep getting better and moving forward with his career. And of course, John's going to definitely be a guy that you can depend on, the G League level. And you'd like to think that he would have had a real shot at being a mainstay on an NBA roster, but that's not guaranteed. So it's fun to watch these guys sometimes in this type of venue. And that was one of our questions if you just joined us. Are you excited about Heard That, Best Virginia, or the TBT in general? And we'll keep those texts coming in. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. For today's edition of The Drive. Final breaks coming up, and then we'll get the rest of your texts coming up here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Buddy's All-American Barbecue is now in Milton. Enjoy all your favorite Buddy's classics like pulled pork, brisket, ribs, and more on East Main Street in Milton. Buddy's All-American Barbecue, the home of great barbecue, ice-cold beer, and killer wings in Huntington and now in Milton.
The soundtrack of your summer is back. Mount West 9th Street Live, downtown Huntington's favorite Friday night tradition. Presented by Michelob Ultra and White Claw. This Friday, July 18th, it's Emeritus College Night featuring Jeremy Short and special guest Corey Zorns on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy food and drinks in the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sit Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station. Join us for a special evening July 25th with Souls of the Wounded in support of the historic Keith Albee Performing Arts Center. Purchase a ticket to tour this iconic venue, see the restoration in progress, and enjoy a beverage while experiencing the magic of this legendary theater. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August the 15th. 9th Street Live, driven by University Ford and built by Cardinal Roofing. Every Friday night through Labor Day on 9th Street in Huntington, between 3rd and 4th Avenues. Sponsored by Delta Hotels, Wendy's, Mountain Mindful, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kindred Communications. 9th Street Live. Be there.
I'm Nori, and when I was young, my mom opened our home to someone who needed a secure and safe place. She taught him what it was like to have someone care about you, having dinner at home or going out to eat together.
In West Virginia, families open their homes every year to adult family care.
Some folks need a little extra help, but everybody deserves a family.
Call the Department of Human Services and ask to speak to an adult family care home finder at 304-269-6820. Sponsored by the West Virginia Department of Human Services, the West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station. This project is supported by the Administration for Community Living, ACL, of the United States, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, as part of a financial assistance award totaling $1,227,345, with 100% funded by ACL HHS. The contents are those of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official views of nor an endorsement by ACL HHS or the U.S. government.
Will your Medicare coverage or Affordable Care Act plan be impacted by upcoming law changes? Benefit Design Services has served the Tri-State for over 35 years and has the expertise and experience to help wade through the confusion. They can guide you and find the best solution for you. Benefit Design Services can help with Medicare supplements, Part D prescription plans, or Medicare Advantage plans and more. Call Benefit Design Services at 304-736-9854 or stop by their office on Route 60 in Barbersville, behind the Pink Elephant.
Okay, forest animals, today is a new day. Kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow.
Yes?
Have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. Okay, River.
Dude.
How's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man. Perfect for a little riverside shoeless relaxation.
Ah, good. Owl, you here? Course. Who's asking? I am. Look, you know the drill. Sleep during the day, scare the kids at night. Perfect. I love my job. Oak Tree?
What's up?
Still in the same place I left you last year. That's what I like. Consistency.
Well, it's not like I'm going anywhere for the next couple hundred years.
I know. I love it. Turtle. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. You'd think he would have learned by now to leave the night before our meetings. Okay. Squirrel. Has anybody seen Mr. Squirrel?
The Forest has been preparing just for you. Visit a forest near you today. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
It's our final segment for today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Don't forget, we've got baseball coming back tonight. The Pirates are in action, taking on the White Sox. 6:15 is going to be our airtime right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Of course, then we've got Pirates baseball for a few days, and then we go back to our Coldcats schedule. So the final homestand is coming up for the Coldcats, and we'll have all those games starting on Tuesday. Coldcats on the road tonight at Greenville. You can watch those games on the Coldcats website, or if you want a quick way to get over there, all you have to do is go to our website, and we'll link you right there at WRVC.com. It's an open text line Friday, so you can join the program by texting 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Back to our text line. Texter says, Paul, I think great things are in the future for Marshall baseball, being in an awesome baseball conference and in a beautiful new stadium. Hopefully it helps some next-level talented ball players to choose to play for the Herd. I appreciate that. And, of course, if you just joined us, Aaron Blair officially named as the new pitching coach for the Thundering Herd, bringing back a son of Marshall with major league experience. So he's definitely going to be a benefit for Marshall. And honestly, what a way to go out and recruit. Not only can you look at Marshall as being invested in baseball, and you can tell that story, and the stadium obviously is a major attraction. Then you can talk about, hey, we've got Aaron Blair. He's going to bring a lot to the program. Also, he's got Major League Baseball experience, so he knows what it takes to get to that next level. And then if you can continue to grow baseball as a sport at Marshall, you got a new stadium. Now can you get the point where you're consistently selling out? Can you get to the point where you're like soccer, where you have to add seats? That's the goal for me. If I'm the next athletic director at Marshall University, that's a big goal for me, I would think, is how can I increase my baseball attendance? What do I need to do? How do I get people to show up for baseball? And I know it's very difficult, and Marshall's not a southern school, so you're not blessed with wonderful weather all the time. Let's be fair. It can be raining 2 hours ago. It can be raining 5 hours from now. And it's not always sunshine, especially in the early months. But how do I grow baseball? How do I make that a point of focus for Marshall? The way that soccer has become a point of focus for Marshall. And if you can sell out soccer, I don't see why you can't sell out baseball, or at least create such a demand where you eventually have to look at, okay, how can we include more seating options for baseball? How do we improve that? Of course, the baseball stadium had to happen. If you're going to play in the Sun Belt probably has said, look, this is it. If you're joining this league, you got until this date to get that thing going. That's a requirement. And so here we are. We've got a baseball park, and hopefully it turns out to be one of the focal points for Marshall. Soccer, baseball, and of course football and basketball always going to be a focal point for the Thundering Herd. But that would be one of those sports where, why not Marshall? Why not? You've got the resources, right? Does NIL really matter as much in baseball? Someone please tell me if it does. I think the NIL focus is obviously going to be on football and basketball, and then everything else. And we still don't know where we're going to be with that, because we've got talk of legislation. We've got talk of presidential executive orders. We don't know. And, of course, you've got Title IX lawsuits. We've got a lot going on still with NIL. So you're going to have to just do the best you can, within the rules. We just don't know what the rules are going to be. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255 is our text line to be a part of today's show. Texter says, Paul, while I always will root for Herd, that I'm not that excited for the games this year. Appreciate the text. We were asking earlier if you were excited about Herd That, Best Virginia, the TBT. Has the novelty worn off now? Several years ago when we were in our COVID era, that saved our lives. Imagine how difficult it is to do a show when there's not much going on in some of these months. Now, magnify that, and there wasn't anything going on, and we still were committed to doing a show every single day during the COVID pandemic. So the TBT came around at the right time, and it was exciting. And then we've gotten some really good play with Herd That, making some runs, almost becoming America's team. Is it safe to say, is that just an us thing, or is that really the way that Herd That is viewed as America's team? And, of course, I think you can thank Ott Elmore for that more than anything. Just because, guys are watching. NBA players are watching this. Summer League, they're watching that as well. But that there are guys that are kicking back that are in the league, and they're watching, and you get on social and you see them talking about some of these guys. They're there, they're watching. That's how Ott Elmore was able to generate so much exposure for Marshall and, of course, the TBT. Herd That specifically. So I don't know if the luster is kind of, it's dulled a little bit. We've lost some shine on this thing, or maybe if we get that Best Virginia matchup, this thing will pick back up. But again, YouTube tonight for the game. Heard That at 6. YouTube tonight for Best Virginia at 8 o'clock. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Texter writes in and says, I'm glad that the TBT and Heard That are back in Charleston. Yeah, I didn't like them being out of West Virginia. And now, don't get me wrong, not everybody gets to be in its home state. And you don't get to be in your home state because it just depends on where you're at. You Heard That, though, is an attraction. Charleston's a good place. And I'm at least going to say this. If you're going to have it in West Virginia, it needs to be in Charleston more so than Wheeling. And it's not that Wheeling is a bad location for basketball. It's just that geographically, you get a little bit of everything. Now, if you're Best Virginia and you're in Wheeling, yeah, that's great. That's absolutely great. But if you're going to include Heard That and you're going to have Heard That as a focal point as well, Charleston makes a little bit more sense because you can get a little bit more interaction from fans across the state. How many people from Huntington are really going to make that trip to Wheeling? And same thing for Charleston, maybe. How many people with Charleston are going to make that trip to Wheeling? Now, if you're in the Wheeling area, okay, that's completely different. But I think that Charleston made more sense for the TBT. I don't think you could have it here in Huntington. And I don't know if there's ever going to be a push to bring events like that to Huntington. I just don't, where would you have those? Would the Henderson Center be a venue? Could you get the Henderson Center to a point where it could play host to multiple team events like that? I don't know if you could get the Marshall Health Arena now. I don't know if you can get it's the Huntington Civic Center to me, but that's another story. Can you bring events like that? Is there ever a chance that, okay, you could have a TBT like that in Huntington? Would you go obviously, if it's Heard That? Yeah, you probably would. 304-396-TALK. Let's get a couple more texts in. 304-396-8255. Paul, I am not interested in the TBT. It's nice to see some of the Heard greats play, but overall, only if Heard That's playing do I really care. Appreciate the text. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, this alumni team, it's Heard That, but how many guys are going to be playing tonight that are going to be from Marshall in the starting lineup? I mean, you want to win this thing, so you go to the transfer portal, pick up guys that we talked about. But unfortunately, you're not going to have everybody to get this thing started because, again, Obina's not on the team. He wasn't a member of Heard That this year. And you've got Elmore, you've got Kinsey, and they've got NBA Summer League. Semifinals are Saturday. The Kings are going to take on the Raptors. And in those two's career, this is a little bit more important to be available for the Summer League. Unfortunately, that means you might not get to see them for Heard That. But I think that if we're honest with ourselves here, we're rooting for, right now we're all Kings fans because we're rooting for hopefully an opportunity to see Elmore get to play a little bit more and also an opportunity to see Kinsey get to play a little bit more. And unfortunately, Obina didn't get to play today in Dallas's match. And that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for being a part of it. We're going to be back with you on Monday, reset the week here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Don't forget 9th Street Live coming up tonight on 9th Street in Huntington. Also, Pirates Baseball. That is happening 6:15 here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Don't forget, you can find me on X at Paul Swann anytime, day or night. And you can subscribe to the podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or just wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back with you on Monday here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
Broadcasting from the Dave & Buster's studios. Eat, drink, play, and watch at Dave & Buster's in the Huntington Mall. ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. WRBC, W231BS Huntington.